irrepressible this morning. It's a good sound. Welcome, welcome. I'm Jean Spitzer. I'm the worship associate for Reverend Amy this morning. And butterflies in the stomach, not so much, because you're your family here this morning. And new people are here this morning. First thing is the announcements, which are printed on the back of your order of service today. That's to take home and remind you, but there are some things to say in a more insistent manner. Visitors, if you haven't stopped by the welcome table, it's in the lanai, and we would really ask you to fill out a visitor's card so we can keep you updated on events. There will be cool refreshments after the service. No coffee for any addicts. The table is all the way at the right, so after service, please join us for socialization and refreshments. And there are typically some really yummy things there too. This coming Tuesday, the 16th, there's an event we're launching, which is called Games and Lunch. Bring a bag lunch, and we'll play mahjong along with other games such as dominoes, cards, and Scrabble. So whether you play mahjong or not, there will be something that you can succeed. And for those who are at home watching on Zoom, please check uucov.org or Breeze for any of the announcements that I'm making. We are now entering into a sacred place. Please silence all electrics. That means noisemakers. Our service will begin with a prelude. have lit the chalice, and with it will be some words to share. These are words of Jodi Picoult, an author. Being a parent wasn't just about bearing a child. It was about bearing witness to its life. We light our chalice today to honor the mothers among us and the mother inside all of us.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to this liberal religious congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice. My name is Reverend Amy Petrie Shaw. My pronouns are she or they. It is such a joy to be here with you all today. Mother's Day can be tricky. We're gathered to celebrate the mothers and the moms and the mamas. We recognize the mothers who did it well and the mothers who tried really hard. We recognize the ones who we were lucky we survived them at all. We recognize the stepmoms and the nanas and the grandmas and the aunts. The neighbor ladies who always took the time to make every child their own. And we celebrate the girlfriends and the partners without titles who love other people's children as their own. We celebrate the dads who had to be a mom because mom wasn't there. We celebrate the adoptive moms and the moms who put a child up for adoption. We recognize the mothers of babies born still. We celebrate with those who are waiting for babies to arrive. We hold close those who never had or wanted children, but who brightened the lives of every child they ever met. Today we celebrate and welcome them all. Come and let us worship here together, and please take just a few minutes to say hello or to introduce yourself to the people around you. Please rise in body or spirit as you are willing and able to join in singing our opening hymn, number 86, Blessed Spirit of My Life. Our children's chapel is the time in the service when we tell the smallest among us what the adults are going to be talking about with the sermon. And today, of course, it's Mother's Day, so we're talking about moms. So for any of you guys here or following along at home, what we're actually talking about is that there are all kinds of moms out there. There are some moms who are absolutely great at it. They know when to take you to the amusement park or to the beach. They pick the most perfect birthday presents. They always say the right thing to make you look good in front of your friends. They never dress weird. And they do a great job. And we're really glad for them. They might be your mom who had you, went through labor and gave birth to you, or they might be your mom who adopted you. They might be your dad's girlfriend or your mom's girlfriend. They might be the lady down the street who loves you more than anything. It's okay to have all kinds of moms. And it's okay to have more than one. You can have your mom you live with. You can have your mom that lives somewhere else. You can have your dad's wife. You can have lots of moms, and you can love them all. And we also recognize that some moms aren't real good at it. Maybe they had to leave and go live somewhere else. Maybe they didn't do such a great job with their life and made a lot of mistakes, and you're really mad at them. Maybe it'll get better, maybe it won't. But you're going to turn out okay. Because a lot of people love you, even if your mom didn't do such a great job. And today in our church, even for the moms who didn't do so good, we say, you know what, we're glad you tried. We're glad you did the best you absolutely could. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, just that there's all kinds of moms. And that we have a lot of respect for all of them, even if they didn't do a good job or if they did an amazing job. So I ask you all to help me sing the children out to their classrooms with the words of the Reed benediction. We recognize every week that we uphold generosity as a spiritual practice. And we pass the plate not to make $1 million, but so that we remind ourselves to be generous during the week with ourselves, with others. So whether you give a penny, $1, or $1 million, thank you. Remember to be generous this week. But because giving shouldn't hurt, our giving words are always offered with a smile. A UU first grader was visiting his Southern Baptist grandparents for the summer and began attending the Evangelical Vacation Bible School. The teacher was new and she desperately wanted to teach her class a lesson about Christianity. And so she offered a shiny, fresh, new $10 bill to anyone who could tell her who is the Savior of all people, the way, the truth, and the light. And most of the children had no idea what she was talking about, and they were utterly confused. But the little Unitarian Universalist stuck his hand in the air and he waved it frantically. Surprised, the teacher said, "Yes, Johnny, do you know the answer?" "Jesus Christ, the only Son of God who is called the Great Logos," he said. The teacher said, "Oh my goodness, Johnny. That's correct, but how did you know the right answer?" And Johnny sat there for a second, and then he shrugged and smiled and said, "Actually, lady, there's no right answer. This is all a bunch of stuff, but business is business. Give me the $10. Don't make me start asking questions. Pony up. The morning offering will now be given and joyfully received. I'll get it when I'm Today's special offering is Good Samaritan Pharmacy and Health Services, just so you know that. And Ken has just handed me from the CHAPS Board of Directors a thank you for $1,161.28. So we did pretty good. Thank you all so much for these gifts and for absolutely everything you do for the life and the work of this community, this city, this town, this state, and our country. We all know that the church isn't the building, but the people. That we're a community of human hands and human hearts, and we come together to share our laughter and our tears. And this is when we enter into a time of sharing our joys and our concerns. You can raise a hand, someone will bring you a mic. I'll light candles for each joy and each concern. Every week you can always come up before or during a service and also light your own candles. If you have a joy or a concern to share, please raise your hand. You'll get a mic. Also, if you're new this week and you've never been here before and you want to introduce yourself, feel free to put a hand up and we'll bring you a mic.
Hi, good morning. Happy Mother's Day. I have a joy to share. My very good friend Connie is not only celebrating Mother's Day, but also the wedding of her younger daughter. She just returned from New Mexico at the wedding of Sasha. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Zornak. I shared with you guys a few months ago that I have stage 4 cancer. But as of my last scan, most of the tumors had shrunk quite a bit. One completely gone. The original, the colorectal one, that one had completely gone. So that was really good.
Hi, I'm friend Venice. My friend Peggy Drogosh sat down and said she's feeling very old today because it's her birthday. I think we should cheer her up and wish her many more.
Hello, I'm Pat Wellington. I'm just remembering my mother who died at 52. So, sorry, allergies today. She used to invite the neighborhood kids in and they would dance around. She had hats, drums, little horns, and she would play records and they'd dance around the house. 2 of them came to my first wedding, so I'm remembering her. Also, I have 2 friends who just died in New York. Things are moving on. My friend Barbara, who had this beautiful garden, I used to pick flowers there. And my other friend Naja, who also had a gorgeous garden. He and his partner, Ron, and Nadia died also. So it's going to be different when we go up to New York, to the mountains this year. There'll be fewer people with the beautiful gardens. I'm remembering them.
Hi, I'm Donna Jewett. I just wanted to say that I have so enjoyed singing in the choir this year, and I thank Marcia. She's been leading us, and we've had a really good size choir, and today just the women are singing, which is really special, I think, for Mother's Day. And I also wanted to welcome my friend Jocelyn and Forrest and her dad, Doug. Right? Thank you for being here.
I'm Linda Underwood. I just wanted to say that most of you know that Pam Palmer is in Sarasota Hospital South. She's going through a series of tests. I visited her yesterday. She has her cell phone right next to her bed, so she would appreciate phone calls and brief visits because she gets tired. They're not exactly sure what's wrong at this point. She hopes to be out next week, but she doesn't really know. So she would like calls or visits, and Richard would love to have some calls because he's lonely at home himself. So we need to reach out and support both of them. Thank you.
Well, this is our last Sunday here, so we're sad about that. But we're happy that we're going to be going to see our daughter.
Right. And we'll be going to Concord, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. And we heard some not very nice weather.
Anyway, we wish you all well, and we look forward to being back here next year.
I'm Eileen Leapley. Many of us know our good friend Mary Leone, who has been a member for more than 20 years, I think. She hasn't been well for quite a few years. She broke her hip several days ago, and I've been in touch with her son-in-law, who's out in the Midwest. She's over at the hospital, same hospital that Pam is in. She is in the process of dying, and I want you to all hold her in your hearts. We love Mary.
I just realized before there's a song, I forgot to invite people to stand up if they're visiting today, and that's a joy in a way. If anybody wishes to introduce themselves, we'd be delighted to welcome you most heartily.
May the love of this community hold all who need love and concern. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May the work of our hands and our hearts support, aid, and comfort all those who hunger or thirst for food or water, justice or freedom. May we never look away when we're needed. May those who are grieving be comforted and those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed, and may those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant.
The women's choir is now going to sing a song called We Are.
Just wanted to dedicate the women of our choir singing today to my mother, Barbara Merrill Smith, from whom I got my love of music.
For each child that's born
Mater, madre, ma, ama, mamaka, io mio nim, okason, mummy, mère, mutter, man, moeder. These are all words for mothers throughout the world. Today's reading is from Irma Bombeck, Prepare to Smile. It's entitled When God Created Mothers. This is from a newspaper piece written by Ms. Bombeck for the Dayton Journal-Herald called When God Created Mothers. When the good Lord was creating mothers, he was into his 6th day of overtime. When the angel appeared and said, "You're doing a lot of fiddling around on this one." And God said, "Have you read the specs on this order? She has to be completely washable, but not plastic. Have 180 movable parts, all replaceable. Run on black coffee and leftovers. Have a lap that disappears when she stands up, a kiss that can cure anything from a broken leg to a disappointed love affair. And 6 pairs of hands." The angel shook her head slowly and said, 6 pairs of hands? No way. It's not the hands that are causing me problems, God remarked. And God can be a she, so I'm shifting my voice. It's the 3 pairs of eyes that mothers have to have. That's on the standard model? Asked the angel. God nodded. 1 pair that sees through closed doors when she asks, "What are you kids doing in there?" When she already knows. Another here in the back of her head that sees what she shouldn't, but what she has to know. And of course the ones in front that can look at a child when he goofs up and say, "I understand, I love you," without so much as uttering a word. "God," said the angel, touching his sleeve gently, "get some rest tomorrow." "I can't," said God. "I'm so close to creating something so close to myself. Already I have one who heals herself when she is sick, can feed a family of 6 on 1 pound of hamburger, and can get a 9-year-old to stand under the shower." The angel circled the model of a mother very slowly. "It's too soft," she sighed. "But tough," said God excitedly. "You can imagine what this mother can do or endure." "Can it think?" "Not only can it think, but it can reason and compromise," said the Creator. Finally, the angel bent over and ran her finger across the cheek. "There's a leak," she pronounced. "I told you that you were trying to put too much into this model." "It's not a leak," said the Lord. "It's a tear." "What's it for?" the angel said. "It's for joy, sadness, disappointment, pain, loneliness, and pride." "You are a genius," said the angel. Somberly, God said, "I didn't put it there." The choir will assemble again to sing "And All the Rivers."
The text of this song is from Ecclesiastes.
Yet the sea is not full.
This morning I'm going to read a meditation, a poem, if you will, by Stephen Schick, who is a UU writer. And this is from a book called Be the Change, Poems, Prayers, and Meditations for Peacemakers and Justice Seekers. I will admit I called Amy after I read this through a number of times and asked her guidance because I found the paragraphs a little bit remote to my understanding. And what Amy expressed to me, this in its essence refers to any time a child is born, a miracle and a mystery. This is a meditation, My Child. Spirit of light, in the darkest seasons of our souls, we strike ourselves against life's hard surfaces to release your eternal newness. We rejoice in the birth of a child of hope. This child is as old as time and as new as the moment we lift our match of resolve. On winter's dawn, the babe is born, rising in our hearts, spreading warmth on our coldest fears. A gift of time claimed from the chaos of timeless ages. A mystery dissolved into human form. Is he the living Jesus? Is she Shiva, creator of all worlds? This child cares not what we call it, only that we nurture it and let it grow into the dark places where hate grows and despair lingers. This child of love is born. Each moment we choose what might yet be. Let us rejoice in its holy birth. Please join me in one moment of silent meditation.
please rise in body or spirit as you're willing and join in singing today's hymn, number 409, Sleep My Child. It had said we were going to do 3 verses. We're going to do 2. The late Irma Bombeck was one of America's most well-known humorists from the 70s through the 90s. And her books made fun of suburbia and families, her own failed attempts to be a savvy feminist, and motherhood, always motherhood. She wrote, "The grass is always greener over the septic tank. Life is a bowl of cherries. If life is a bowl of cherries, what am I doing in the pits?" And 15 other immensely popular books. She made people laugh. And at times she made them cry. Our reading this morning was one of her sweeter pieces. Bombeck poked at all those parts of motherhood that women weren't talking about yet. She and Phyllis Diller were the only two brave enough to come out and say, sometimes motherhood stinks. The baby pooped on my head. My husband's been late for dinner every day this week. The kids need their clothes washed. The kids stink. And what she did paved the way for today's shows like The Connors and Modern Family that have a much more realistic look at what it means to be a mom. Mother's Day is the day that we celebrate mothers and moms and nanas and mamas. But you know, mothering isn't just something you do with your body by having biological offspring. Mothering is relationship. Mothers birth new life into being, not just through their bodies, but through their hearts and their minds. It's an ongoing process. In her book, The Lunchbox Chronicles, writer Marian Winnick says it well when she says, "For me, parenting is like dieting. Every day I wake up filled with resolve and good intention, perfection in view, and every day somehow I stray from the path. The difference is with dieting, I usually make it to lunch." You know, some mothers cry for joy, others for sadness, some for frustration. Some because they love what they brought into being, others because they wish they knew what love was like. And whether we're the parent or the child, the creator or the creation, related by blood or circumstance, mothering is about the interplay between two forces. And it's amazing how strong that interplay can be. And this is a true story. August 16th, 1996. It was a really warm day at the Brookfield Zoo in Brookfield, Illinois. The crowds were ridiculously thick, for any of you who ever took your kids out on the summer to the zoo. And at the gorilla enclosure, there were parents and children lined all the way around. The gorillas were 18 feet below them. And one mom wasn't paying a lot of attention to her 3-year-old son. Nobody ever found out why. It never made the news. The internet wasn't as big a thing yet. He walked away from her, went through the fence, climbed the wall, and fell 18 feet to the concrete. And an 8-year-old female, now this is years before Harambe, an 18-year-old female Western lowland gorilla named Binti Jua was part of the band, and she watched the little boy fall. He landed hard. It knocked him unconscious. His hand was broken. His face was cut. Binti Jua was a mother herself. She had her 17-month-old baby, Kula, hanging on her back. And people started screaming, as you can imagine. This little boy had hit bad. People started screaming even louder when Binti started to walk toward this unconscious toddler, especially when she started growling at the other gorillas. But Binti, with her own baby hanging on her back, picked up the little boy, cuddled him, snarling and growling at the other gorillas. She carried him to the den door, hit the door with her hand, and sat there and waited for her keepers and the paramedics. And when they showed up, she handed them the baby. And then she walked away. The little boy was fine after treatment, but his embarrassed and frightened parents would never allow his name to be released, and they would not do interviews. All we know is that he was indeed fine. But here's the thing, for every mother on the planet, every one, sometimes you're the gorilla who gets it all right. And sometimes you're the mom who looked the other way while your kid fell in the gorilla pit. Mothering isn't exclusive. It's not proprietary. It's relational. It's situational. Good mothering and bad, mothering by the book or by the skin of your teeth, mothers are people. People who do the job well and people who do the job, well, less well. Binti ended up being an exceptional mother to little Kula, eventually a lovely grandma to 2 more little gorilla babies. She was great at leaf eating and cuddling and not chasing the babies around the cage with a stick, and yet no human on earth would ask that gorilla to babysit their kid for 90 seconds. The little boy who fell, no one ever learned his name. His parents weren't charged with anything. His mother never had another problem that anybody ever heard of. She may have turned out to be Room Mother of the Year. Nobody wakes up in the morning, or at least almost nobody, and thinks, boy, I want to destroy my kids today. Now, many teenagers would tell you this is not true. They're convinced. Mom got up this morning with malice aforethought and chose evil. Mothering's about all of it. It's about being present and absent, friendly or cold, raising a child, or occasionally idly wondering whatever happened to that kid you had. What works for one mother and child's a disaster for the next, no matter what the internet tells you. Anyone who writes a book that guarantees it will tell you how to be a good mother is either delusional or has a background in selling tourists the Brooklyn Bridge. We're all going to get it wrong a lot of the time. Good moms do it by the skin of their teeth. Lots of moms stand there absent-mindedly eating the crust off the toddler's toast and sort of dipping them in the pureed plums. Some do it because they can't bear to take their attention off their beloved child. Others because they forgot to shop. Some mothers have a nanny and sit down to fresh brewed coffee every morning. It doesn't matter. No 2 mothers' experiences are the same. And the really good ones, you figure it out as you go with the screw-ups intact. They are competent and fearless while feeling sure they have screwed everything up 9 days out of 10. A few years ago, I was working at a church dinner, and I saw a 5'4" mother of then 4 adults tell another congregant who couldn't figure out how to get a bowl way up high, "Oh, don't worry about it," she said, tucking the bowl under her arm. "I'll just get up here and stand in the cheese and it'll be easy." We moved the food off the counter, and she indeed stood on the counter and put the bowl up when the 6'2" person couldn't figure out how to get it up there. Mothers make it happen, even if sometimes you have to stand in the cheese. I've always loved Khalil Gibran. He wrote a prose poem called The Prophet, and he talks about being a good parent. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrows might go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness. For even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves the bow that is stable. What an incredible set of verses. Mothers create another person through their presence and absence, words and actions, but they don't own that creation. It's going to do what it wants to do. You just got to kind of steer and pray like hell. They can model ways to be in the world or let their lack of modeling speak for them, but they can't control the child's way of being in the world. Mothers can be upgraded, but children are often not backwards compatible. That's not a bad thing. If mothering is relational, then it's designed to change over time, and that change isn't always second nature. Now, I don't know about you all, but when you get together with people who've known you for years and years and years, you ever notice you revert to the way you were years and years and years ago? You go to your class reunion and you were the class clown. You haven't told a joke in 50 years, but suddenly you're making them crack up over in the back corner. Maybe you were a horn major. You haven't picked up your horn since your kids were 4. But you go to that class reunion and all of a sudden you're talking about that great concert. We do the same thing with our mothers. We hold on to the relationships that we remember. For all those mothers who remained in active relation to us, changing and growing, knowing who we were as we changed, we honor and salute them. We also honor and recognize the others, the ones who do the equivalent of seeing us at the class reunion. The mothers who make us feel as if we're still 13 when we call on the phone because we know we did it all wrong. And I have to tell on myself, a few years ago, my mother called me just before Easter. She wanted to make sure I decorated the church in all the right liturgical colors, had undraped the cross, and set up the communion set correctly. At a UU church. I took a deep breath and I explained to her I certainly would not screw it all up. Mothering gets harder as we grow up and grow away from our mothers who only know us through those phone calls and those visits. How can we expect to be fully present with the person they are now if they only know us as the person we were then? Who are we to hold them to who they were then if we don't know who they are now? Interactions within our families, with those who mother us, can still hurt or heal 20 or 30 or 60 years later, whether mom is the gorilla or the one who dropped it in the gorilla's enclosure. the angel or the demon or the ghost who was just never there. She wasn't perfect, she just was. All of our paths are different. The challenge of being a family is amazing. Jack Kornfield wrote a book called After the Ecstasy, the Laundry. He tells the story of a woman married to a popular Hindu teacher, and the woman comments, "My husband came home from his last visit in India in an amazing state. He was enlightened for 6 months, and then he spent time with his mom." Jesus, the Christian Messiah, when he was told in the Gospels his mother and brothers were looking for him when he was preaching, he refused to see them and instead said to the crowd, "These are my mother and brothers, those who do the will of God." Can't you just see a 32-year-old man, well-known prophet, possible son of God, sighing and face-palming as a nervous disciple tells him, "Hey, Jesus, your mom wants you." Learning to be in relation with the mother you have now, rather than the mother you had as a child, is an important part of who we are as healthy people. We grow, we change, we forgive, we ask for forgiveness, we look for compassion. Some of my mothers weren't good at mothering. Some of them were terrible. Some of us were terrible. And now we're the people we were raised to be, and some of us grew up wonderful. We have wonderful, healthy relationships. We accepted our parents' worlds and words and values and choices. We became who they raised us to be. Some of us rejected our mothering, went in other directions. We also became who we were raised to be. Safe or unsafe, loving or cold, our lives are intertwined with those who mothered us. We're the living arrows they fired. They're the bows that fired us, and here we are. We made it this far. You have a 100% success rate. You are here. Moms, your kids made it this far. You made it this far. For this day and every day, we thank those who mothered us, whether they're here or gone ahead into mystery, warm and safe and kept close by, or dangerous and distant by choice, good or bad or anything in between, whether they are a gorilla or a human being. St. Francis said, "Preach always, use words when necessary." Quaker author Parker Palmer said, "We should let our lives speak." I'll tell you now, you are the sermon your mother preached. And you're absolutely beautiful. And you're okay. And you made it this far. Happy Mother's Day, and amen. We extinguish our chalice, but go into the world carrying its light like a precious child. Please rise in body or spirit as you're willing and join in singing our closing hymn this week, number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Song
I send you out now to share yourself with the world, pregnant with possibilities, swollen with life. May you love into being the dreams of your heart. Peace, ashe, and may it be so. We're going to do the postlude through twice.